Before we start creating in Manga Studio, I think it's very important to understand the workspace that we'll be using. So let me break down the 4 basic elements to our workspace here. First up, we have the main menu. And these have practically every option that we will need in Manga Studio. I mean, you can see there are a lot of options to choose from. Heck, there's an entire section on just selections and one on just layers. And if you are new to Manga Studio, this is a lot to take in all at once. But since we are focusing on just the essentials in this course, I'm going to be pointing out the menu functions that you will need to know. And as you become more comfortable with Manga Studio, you should come back up here and explore and try out these other options that'll be nice to know. I mean, just press a few buttons and see what happens. Next, we have the command bar. And these are our easy to access commands. They're the ones that we don't have to hunt and search through the main menu to find. We have our basic file functions, new, open, and your best friend, save. And before I continue, save, 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 and save again as you continue your work. You'll thank me later on. You have the undo, if you made one quick mistake and you need to go back. Redo, if you want to go forward one step, you went one too many undos. You have a couple of canvas commands. You can clear the canvas all at once, or if you have a selection, you can clear within that selection. If you have a selection, you can clear outside of that selection. You can fill the entire page, and you can transform. In this case, you can scale up, scale down, and rotate. You have a couple of selection commands, which we'll be talking about later in the course, for deselecting, inverting the selection, and show the border of the selection area. And you have these 3 snap to functions, and these are used for our rulers, which we'll be talking about later in the course. And trust me, you're going to like those. And finally, you can go to Manga Studio Help. On the left-hand side, we have our tools. We have a collection of subtools or variations of a tool. We have our tool properties. We have various ways that we can pick colors if we are coloring our work. And you can even quickly change your brush size up and down. On the right-hand side, you have a navigator, so you can move around the canvas. You have a collection of your layers. You have layer properties. And there are things that are even tabbed together. Like if I go over here, there is a subview. So if you have reference material, you'll be able to add that here and look at that quickly as you're working. And many, many more options. If you don't want to have these visible as you're working, click these arrows to hide them temporarily and get a little more real estate. You can bring them back. You can move these palettes and drawers, so you can combine into tabs, or you can rearrange, place them between. You can resize. You can resize the drawer. You can move the drawer from the left side to the right side. You can do all sorts of things to make this workspace your own. You can even go up here to the main menu and select Window, Workspace, and you can register it so you can come back to it anytime or use any of these other preset versions. Or if you're not happy with how this looks, come over here, reset to default, and it goes back to the way it was. These are also materials, so you can have various materials. These are just cool things to play around with later on after you become comfortable with Manga Studio. I'll hide that there. And just so you know, I will be using the default workspace for this course, so just keep that in mind if you do choose to rearrange your workspace. And then finally, we have our canvas. And this is where we get to unleash our imagination. In a way, I like to think of the canvas as the heart of Manga Studio, because we can have all of these tools and all of these palettes and all of these commands and all of these menu functions, but if we don't have this, we don't have anything.